Hello, fam.
I'm Anisha Gandhi.
No judgment here.
There was no chat GPT, there was no way to research, there was nothing. You had to be on the field to sort of do the job. Right.
It's more about that person, how they want to be perceived than just the clothes.
Like, that's not how you request.
In an Instagram heavy age, it's easy to get distracted by all the trends.
Women who want to look powerful, who are not necessarily there yet, but want to just wake up and look powerful in their own element. I think that's what Duology sort of caters.
My idea is I don't want to hide anything. Stay audacious and curious. Hello, fam. Welcome back to another episode of Ruology Ramble. This is episode 4, and this one's gonna be extra special because today you're not gonna be rambling with just me, but we have a special someone who knows fashion from inside out. She's not just a celebrity stylist and a personal shopper, but she's also the founder of an online platform that houses some of the best national and international fashion houses. So, without any further ado, let's welcome Anisha Gandhi.
Hi.
Hi, Anisha. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here. You're our first guest.
Yay, I'm
This
so
one's got to be
excited.
special. So, would you
Yeah.
like to say a few words?
Hi, Ruology fam. I'm Anisha Gandhi. I am a stylist by passion and profession and the founder of Styling Room. My day to day job includes transforming your wardrobe, elevating your personal style, and helping you find the most powerful version of yourself, whether it's walking down the aisle or for your Monday morning meeting.
So, Anisha, tell me a little bit more about Styling Room by AG. What are the services you provide? Run me through it.
Yeah, the idea of Styling Room by AG started with this whole process of having a really cool curation that no one was doing. I think one of my expertise with styling is also curating really well, and that's something I wanted to sort of bring to more your normal people and not just for the celebrities. So that's where the styling room came about, and we decided to have some fun services at the store. So why should styling be restricted only to celebrities or for your bridal wear?
Yeah.
I think nobody is sort of bridging that gap right now of coming out
Absolutely.
and helping people redefine and rediscover their own style. And that's why I thought this was a fun way to sort of bring my new brands together and style a lot more people and help understand their personal style. So we've introduced packages at the store. So
Right.
there are packages like the style edit, like a closet fix, like a closet cleanse, or like a personal shopping day. And you can avail any of these services, and you can also shop from our homegrown brands that are featured in our store.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, really excited about where it's going. We were a physical store and we've transitioned entirely online right now. So
Right.
it's a whole new shift, and I'm very excited, and I want to see where this sort of goes for me.
I'm sure it's going amazing
Oh, I
places.
hope so.
First of all, may I say congratulations. You
Thank
just
you.
got married.
Yes.
It has had to be a hectic year, work wise
Yeah.
and personal life wise. Can I just say your wedding looked like a dream? I mean, when a
Thank you.
stylist gets married, it has to look like a dream.
It was a lot of
right?
pressure, but yes, we got there.
You did it. It was
Yeah.
amazing. So tell us, how was it like styling yourself, your family?
Yeah, honestly, styling myself was beautiful. It was a dream, but it was also very chaotic.
Of course.
And I think we're just so hard on ourselves, like we were discussing earlier. So there was that added pressure. Unfortunately, I come across way too many designs and styles, and my only criteria was I don't want to wear anything that I have seen in the past, which
True.
was almost impossible to find because it took me 3 to 4 trips to Delhi to sort of figure that out, and I still
Yeah.
couldn't lock my designs. So yeah, it was a lot of back and forth, but I was really happy with the looks that I finally achieved, and I tried to do a lot of new designers. I customized my mehendi look, which I absolutely loved.
Right.
And when it came to styling my family, I mean, they're very sweet. They blindly trusted me through the
that's
process. But
beautiful.
also, I was like, hey, you know what? I know you can do so much better than the choice that you've picked right now. So
True.
it's pushing them out of their comfort zone a little bit. That was a little emotional for me. But it was such a fun ride, honestly. I would do it all over again
But
if I had to.
Of course. Oh, like
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
lot of work, I'm
Yeah.
assuming. But like, would you say styling your family was easier or difficult than your clients? Because when I sort of deal with my relatives or my family, there's an added pressure where they don't take you seriously and they're like, okay, but Arushi, nahi, aise nahi, waise nahi.
Yeah.
That sort of
Yeah.
professionalism sort of like
Yeah.
has to
Is
die down.
yeah.
How do you deal with that?
So it's definitely difficult styling them because obviously there's that emotional connect and you can't push them beyond a point.
Right.
With a client, I'll still make suggestions which I think will be taken in a more professional way. But like when it
Yeah.
comes to families, maybe they don't take you seriously. But I think my mom and my mom-in-law and my husband, they blindly trusted me through the process. They were like, whatever you pick for us, we're gonna do it.
That's
And they look
lovely.
so nice on the day, so I was
I'm
really
sure.
happy. Yeah. So it was a sweet memory, I think, putting looks together for them. I really enjoyed it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, like you said, the only rule you had was you don't want to wear something that's already been worn. And I think I get that a lot from my clients who I do custom wear for. This is the only thing that everyone in the market is right now looking for: exclusivity, exclusive looks. But like, are because of social media and because of so much exposure
Yeah.
to data, how do you make sure that even if you're wearing a look that's already been worn, I'm sure, by
Yeah.
some celebrity or the
Yeah.
other, how do you make sure that you still look different?
So it's how you put that look together in the first place. I mean specifically if I'm speaking about weddings, the way you would style an entire look sort of changes the whole look overall, I would say. Like for example, if you decide to do a lehenga that's been worn by so many people, there are so many like key elements to your outfit that you could actually add, like your hair accessories, the way you do your veil, the way you do your hair and makeup. I think those small details and personal elements really make it very different in that sense. And also what you see on celebrities doesn't really translate to your body
Yeah.
type, which is why I think everyone should understand what works for them and what doesn't work for them and not follow trends blindly.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I think making a whole, especially like a very important outfit like your wedding outfit, making it personal with personal elements is something that you absolutely should look into doing.
True.
So like I told you, even like for my mehendi outfit, I saw like a ready lehenga, but I didn't want to wear a lehenga. I wanted to wear sharara since day one because we had
Oh.
like this outdoor garden vibe, and I wanted to be like the chill bride who was also enjoying with her friends and dancing to the music. So when I saw that lehenga, I was just like, I love the design, but I would want it in pants. So I
Right.
sort of went through the whole process with Kshitij Jalori. He was amazing. He helped me and he made like a matching outfit for Rohin as well, which
Wow.
I thought was really, really sweet. And he's never done that before. So
Wow.
I was very happy with that personal touch to my outfit. And I think
Right.
that's what all brides should sort of opt for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a personal stylist sort of comes in, because when you're getting married in an Instagram heavy age, it's easy to get like distracted by all the trends. There's always a new trend that's going viral, and I
Yeah.
feel like the personal stylist is sort of there to remind you
Right.
which trend is for you and which isn't.
Exactly. And like what works on you and what doesn't. So many of these
Exactly.
trends didn't work on me and I just had to like let go of them. And I was
Yeah.
happy to just be myself on the day.
Right. So, tell me, were there any like last minute screw ups? Because Indian wedding,
Yeah.
something has to go wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like a really big screw up. Like now that I think of it in the moment, I'm like, it wasn't a big deal.
But
But
there.
yes, this was my main like wedding day in the morning, and we had a morning wedding. And the first piece of jewelry that I picked was a nut. Somehow I always knew I wanted to wear a nut.
Yeah.
And based on that, I decided to keep everything else minimal. So I did like this matha patti and I just did like this really nice set. But when I got ready, the nut didn't work.
Oh my
And I
God.
was just like, crap, I don't even have like a matha patti to go with it right now. I don't have a mam tikka to work with it right now. I just had this little cute matha patti that I wanted to do with it. I was just like, I feel like I want to be like my most normal, natural version today. And I think that worked the best for me. I skipped the nut. I just put this little bindi and I left for the thing. And I felt so beautiful that day because I really genuinely felt myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these screw ups happen, but I've learned because of styling There's nothing
Yes.
that you can't figure.
Yeah.
So there's no need to stress or panic, and you can just go with whatever feels right on that day, and it's going to be the best decision you make.
Of course.
So, yeah.
And that, I mean, even if you say in hindsight that issue looks small, but to imagine on your wedding day, the main look
Yeah.
getting like, spoiled even a little.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. But I think as a stylist, you knew that, if your personal style is just simple,
Yeah.
you want to keep
Yeah.
it simple for your main day.
Yeah.
I think that whole idea of that
Embracing.
stereotypical Indian bride with heavy jewel is sort of like moving away now. And
I agree. I think for me also, because it was a morning wedding and I just wanted to really be myself. Every other day I did sort of like push myself to try new things. But on this day, it just came to me that I wanted the most minimal makeup. I just wanted to truly be my natural self this day. And I think that
Right.
sort of worked.
It
So I was
did.
really happy with that. Yeah. I look beautiful, I think.
Oh, you did. Everyone can
Thank
agree.
you.
Okay, Anisha, let's rewind a little bit now.
Okay.
So, we've seen your work, everyone's seen your work, but I think everyone wants to know now, how did this journey start? Like, when did it start? Did you always know you were going to be a fashion stylist, or did something happen? And
So I don't know, maybe this is like the whole new spiritual part of me, but I've started to believe your career sort of chooses you versus you choosing your career. And when I was actually studying mass media at Xavier's, and I was like trying to figure myself out. All my friends had clarity about what they wanted to do. And styling doesn't have a lot to do with mass media, but there was something about fashion that I always wanted to sort of figure out. Like I had that little bit of curiosity. What is it about this field and what could I do to contribute to it? So styling was a very new job, and some of my friends were like, I think you'd be great at it, you should just give it a shot. So I was like, okay, you know what, it sounds very interesting. I started like in 2012, which is like almost like 14 15 years back.
Yeah.
So at that time, this profession, there were like 5 stylists, that's it. So I was very curious because, like I said, I like to do things that haven't been done before.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting as a concept for me. I did a few jobs, I assisted a few people, but I couldn't figure it out. And then I met my ex-boss Tanya Ghavri, and on day 1 of the job, she just put me to like work, and she's like, "Here's Karishma Kapoor, go handle her." And I was like, "Crap, I don't even know anything about this. Like, what am I supposed to handle an entire day of shoot with her? What am I gonna do?" But I was so good at it, and Karishma was so amazing, and she made me feel so comfortable. And I think I just realized this was meant for me. So yeah, after that 3 years of like doing a lot of hard work, I started out on my own, and that's how it sort of all led to it.
Yeah, plus I think 2012, today also there are people who do not know much about this field. I can only imagine how difficult it must have been in 2012 to figure out
Yeah.
what styling is.
There was no chat GPT, there was no way to research, there was nothing. You had to be on the field to sort of do the job. So
Yeah, plus Instagram wasn't booming as much.
Instagram was not a thing. I mean, you'd post your content, but that's it. Like, what work? It was like a portfolio place for me,
Yeah, so
honestly,
like-
at that point.
But I
Yeah.
think it was great in a way for the designers, because these days it's become so unprofessional. We have like these new styling interns and everything who's just, sending
Yeah.
you DMs on Instagram like, "Hi,
It's
we need
chaotic.
this now." And I'm
Yeah. Like, that's not how you request.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
like
get to
when
know the
we did
person
it-
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like okay.
Yeah.
But like that brings me to an interesting question. So back in 2012, when you decided you want to do like explore fashion styling, I want to know like how your parents reacted, because I remember even just 7 8 years ago when I told my parents, okay, I want to do fashion, they told me, नहीं बेटा पहले कोई serious field में degree कर लो.
Yeah.
So like that's always a funny reaction. How was it
True.
like?
Actually, thankfully, my parents have been very, very supportive. I think they were just happy that I was working because my cousins weren't, and they were like, "Wow, like we're glad you're getting out of your house and like going
Yeah.
doing a job." So they've been really supportive, because with styling, the thing is there's no schedule. You will be working
Exactly.
extremely erratic hours.
Yeah.
Like I would come home at like 2 a.m. after a shoot, or I would have to leave at like 4 a.m. for a shoot. And
Yeah.
they've been so helpful. They'll wake up, they'll make sure I'm comfortable in the morning, or I'm reaching home safely in the night. So I'm very grateful. And even when I decided to start the styling room, I think they were so excited and thrilled and absolutely supportive. And I think it's so important to have their approval in our day to day
Exactly.
life, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it just pushes us to become better versions of ourselves. So,
True.
thankfully, I'm very grateful for them.
So, as a fashion founder myself, when I entered this industry, like I've also done styling before and I've done different fields in fashion. So, when I started Ruology, I realized that there's so much more to this business than just designing. There's the finance side of it, there's how to build a team, how to, like, very tiny things that we do not look at before we enter a certain field. So there are so many things that I wish I knew beforehand, before I decided I want to start a brand. So are there any such things that you wish you knew before, like, entering the styling industry?
Yeah, I honestly wish I studied a lot more, because I finished my graduation and like it was a whole different field and I got into fashion.
Okay.
But somewhere down the line, I've come to realize I really like the business side of fashion a lot more, which is
Okay.
also sort of what led me to my next step, like having like my own curated space and offering personal styling services. So I feel like somewhere down the line, that little education would have really helped me. And that's the only advice that I want to give anyone else also. If you want to study, please do it, because for the rest of your life, you are going to be working anyway. So if you have that time and if you have that energy to sort of figure out what you want to do next, you should take up that course you've been thinking about. So that is a regret. And I still feel like it's not too late. I'm still going to go out and I'm going to do one course
Right.
maybe next year. But that being said, all the physical experiences we go through every day, like even with like when I open the store, like that was a very important learning lesson for me. And I learned so much through it. So in a way, your experience does balance it out and teaches you a lot down the line. But if you're getting a chance to educate yourself, you should totally do it. That's what I
Right.
believe. Yeah.
Right. But like, when you say educate yourself, do you think like there are certain topics that need to be covered? Like, I remember talking to a lot of my interns and asking them how's it been going, like they're studying fashion. Now there are a lot more courses in fashion than just designing. Now there's fashion communication, there's fashion
Right.
styling, image creation, whatnot. But somehow all my interns have the same attitude towards the learning, where they're like, okay, but when we enter the field, it's completely different. So I feel like there's some gap happening, right?
Right. So it depends what you want to study. Like, I think it always comes down to that. So, something as personal as styling, I don't think you can study. Like, that's personally what
Exactly.
I feel, because it's a skill that you develop. And especially when you're working in Bombay, you're working with like either editorial or you're working with celebrities. So it's more about dealing with their personalities and
Exactly.
learning how to understand their body type and their nature, their mood, and dealing with that and making sure they're happy and they sustain as a client, versus you really like being out there creative, because that's not going to work.
Yes.
So when I meant like I wish I got to study further, that was purely from a business side of things, not so much from a creative point of view. I would love to like get to know more international brands, their
Right.
workings, how to make a business profitable. That's where my interests lie. But
Right.
with styling, with like communication, I think it's just a skill that you develop on the go.
For
That's
sure.
that's what I personally feel. So yeah, and especially like a place like Bombay, I don't think you need to really study styling. I think you can
Yeah.
just be really good at your job and learn on the job.
Yeah, plus styling, like you said, you have to sort of get in the skin of the person you're styling. I think it's like we were discussing before, it's dealing with that personality.
Right.
It's more about that person, how they want to be perceived, than just the clothes. I think mostly it's how they want to be perceived, which is where, this sort of doubt comes to my head, where you're dealing with so many different clients as a personal stylist also. At least when you do celebrity styling, there's a certain brief, there's a certain thing that you got to follow.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like personal styling, when you're dealing with clients who have like day-to-day jobs and like it's a full wardrobe revamp, and you sort of have to like deal with their personal styles,
Yeah.
shift from one to the other, how do you deal with it? How do you go from one personality to other without like
I think it's so challenging in a nice way because I get to work with different body types and different personalities and see what works on them. I think it's a very interesting task. It keeps me on my toes and I love it. And when it comes to personal style, somewhere down the line, everyone knows their style, whether they realize it or not. The pieces you pick in your wardrobe, you already have a sense of style. You just need someone to tell you, hey, this is what your style is,
Right.
and these are the pieces that work for you, and this is how you should wear them. I think that
Yeah.
one person to give you that little bit push makes the world's difference. So,
Right.
yeah, I think that's what I feel, and I think it's a very interesting activity to do with anyone in that
Right.
sense. So,
So
yeah.
most of the times you think that the person always knows their style. It's
I
kind
do.
of hiding in the wardrobe, but they just need someone to point it
yeah,
out.
even if it's like basic, maybe it's just good elevated basic can be your fashion sense and you can be
Right.
really good at putting those pieces together. So I feel like everyone has an idea, but they just need that little push. Yeah.
Like you were saying about the whole personal styling bit, it's very interesting actually because I have had clients who have come up to me and they're so confused. They come up and say that this is what I want. Okay, I do not like embroideries at all. I want something super simple. And then we do it according to their brief, but then they end up not liking that. And this is like a lot of iterations, like there are 7 to 8 iterations, and then end goal, like end may whatever they end up purchasing is like absolutely opposite of what they'd come with.
Yeah.
So that made me realize that people do not know what their personal style is, and they're blindly jumping into trends.
Yeah.
So how do you think can a person tell what their personal style is?
So I feel like if you don't know what your personal style is, when you're going to a designer like Ruology, like you need to sort of maybe sit with them, understand with them what are the different silhouettes that you make and what are your suggestions that would work on their body type.
Right.
You have also been a stylist in the past, and I think you'd be a great judge because you know your clients really well and you know exactly which piece will work on who. So, believing the professional and trusting them on their expertise, I think someone who has no idea about their body type or what works on them should blindly trust the person. So in
Right.
this case, or if they come up to me and they don't know, like I have a lot of clients who don't know what they want, or they give me like a whole different brief, but I study them like we just discussed earlier, and I take pieces that I feel will work on them.
Right.
And when they try it, they're absolutely convinced at that second, and they're like, "Wow, this piece is beautiful, and I want to go ahead with this." So I
Right.
think somewhere down the line, you need to slightly push your own narrative, and you need to tell them that I know this works, and you just try it once, and that
Yeah.
does the job all the time. So yeah, that's what I feel. I feel like trust a professional if you don't know what to
True.
do with your body.
True.
Yeah.
I think it's not just me, but even my peers, we
Yeah.
face this issue so much.
Yeah.
How do you make a person try something? Like you said, believe it or not, you have to manipulate the person,
yeah,
right?
it's again that's a skill. I think you just need to develop. But I feel like I'll tell you because I have this problem a lot. I want my clients to wear something that I know will look beautiful on them, but they want to wear something else altogether, which I'm not so excited about. So I'll just be like, oh, you know what? Like, why don't you just try it once? You don't have to wear it, but just try and let's take a picture and see what it looks like. And the
Right.
minute we do it, their whole perception changes about the entire look, and I get what I want. And I
Yeah.
mean, somewhere down the line, you already know this look is going to work on them better than the one that they've selected. So it's just about being really convincing with them.
True.
Yeah.
So, like, would you think that is the reason that you sort of came up with the styling room by AG, where
Yeah.
you realize that a person comes with a certain brief, but then they want something that's completely a different brand. So, I don't know, like, is that what gave you the idea of housing so many brands?
So the idea actually of housing so many brands was to have a really cool curation of like different brands under one roof. So like all like you were part of the store also
Yeah.
at one point, and like having like international brands like Skims that do really good basics. I think the whole point of the store was to make something available that was not already there in the market. And
Right.
I am personally very excited about the new emerging brands in Bombay. And I feel people just blindly go to Zara, they go to like H&M.
Yes.
But you have so many better brands with a similar price point that I feel they should be exploring, which work way better on your body type than a Zara or H&M would.
Yeah.
And you don't look like a clone at the end of the day.
Yes.
So it was to fill that little bit gap. But most of my clients who do come to me, they have a certain brief. They'll come to me with like, hey, we need like either like a cleanse for a wardrobe, or we don't know where to start, we don't know what to wear to work. So I sort of build the gap between, sorry, I merged the gap between these two, and I help my designers reach to these clients and help them figure what's really working for them and what's not.
True.
So it is sort of like a new way of shopping, if you have to put it in that sense.
Yeah, and I think it's such an amazing bridge even for the homegrown brands like us,
Yeah.
because I think we're constantly sort of struggling with being seen. You
Yeah.
know, I think when we started also, since the last 3 years or last 5 years when we weren't even in existence, this thought was always in my head, wherein how are you gonna, sort of stand out? Because people, the price point in India is so
It's a price sensitive market.
Yes. So I was just like, how are you going to stand out? How are
Yeah.
you going to be different? And once I started, I realized there is a very big chunk
Yeah.
who is now sort of like shifting. People do not want to look alike. People don't want to, wear the same thing, which is what happens when you buy from like any fast
Any high
fashion
street brand. Yeah.
Like one thing gets stocked everywhere, and then you can see like 10 people who are wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is where I think homegrown brands sort of come in. And the only gap that I still see is we need to be discovered.
Yeah.
Which is where a styling room like AG
Yeah.
sort of does
Yeah.
amazing justice to us, because you already have like a history of clients.
Correct.
Who now you can just easily go like, okay, this brand is on my radar and this will work for this client.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's so amazing that you're doing for the, not just for your clients but for brands like us.
Thank you. That means a lot. It's been a chaotic year and a lot
Yeah.
of pressure. But yeah, that was the whole point. I really felt that gap in the market. Like even when I have to shop, I don't see a lot of cool stores that I just want to go to and pick
Yeah.
up things. And I
Yeah.
don't want to look like everyone else. So
True.
what does that leave me with?
Yeah.
And because of styling, I would come across so many brands every day.
Yeah.
I would meet different designers. I would see like new homegrown brands with really good pieces.
Yes.
Something that I feel most Indian people should have in their wardrobe.
Exactly.
And that was the whole idea with this. So, sort of bring it all together under one roof and cater to an audience that has no idea how to dress and what to do with their closet.
True.
So
Yeah.
it's exciting though. Yeah.
Plus, another thing I would think is a lot of the clients in India, they still believe that until and unless we try the outfit in person, we don't want to spend money
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
And especially if anything is like above 3,000 to 5,000, they do not want to buy it online. Like very small chunk
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
India still, sort of
Yeah.
splurges online.
Yeah.
So that is also something that I thought, if
Yeah.
you have faith in a stylist,
Yeah.
the stylist has had first-hand experience with the brands.
Yeah.
So, you're sort of acting like that
Mediator.
between
Yeah.
the client.
Yeah.
A lot of times what we order online and what comes in is like completely different.
Yeah.
Which is where I think
Yeah.
our clients sort of
Yeah.
get confused and they lose
Yeah.
faith, which is where you come in and,
Yeah.
sort of mediate
Yeah.
that this is a good
Yeah, I
brand.
think I have like a very certain set of clients who are more or less like struggling with what works on them and what works on their body type. So I think most of the brands that I have onboarded also, they cater to these kind of clients who can try something new without feeling like a completely different person.
Right.
And I think it's just pushing them slightly, not a lot. Like you don't have to be extremely experimental and try like a whole new look that you haven't done before. But you need to work with your personal style and you need to see what else can you do in that style. And I think the brands that I have on board sort of cater to that and that existing client base that I have right now.
Right.
So it's very interesting, but I do feel a lot of people shop online though, and they blindly do it. That's what I'm personally seeing a lot right now. They order pieces, but like you said, they don't work. Like they
Yeah.
will end up returning most of those
Yeah.
pieces. So the shopping culture is changing slightly.
Yeah,
right
now it's definitely
Yeah.
changing and we're seeing a shift, but this whole trial bit has been like a vital part
Yeah.
of everyone's lives where
Yeah.
still I think 50% people want to try the outfits.
Yeah.
With-
True.
So like when it comes to such trials and like you're dealing with a client, what do you do? Like how do you provide them trials? Do you do like home trials for them? I think that's how we sort of met for the first time, right?
So yes, I do home trials. I earlier had a store and now
Okay.
we're transitioning into an online platform.
Okay.
But that being said, most of my designers are willing to give me pieces for home trials.
Yeah.
And that's sort of an arrangement that I've made with them. So if I have a client who's like, I recently had a client who was going to Cannes and she needed like 20 looks.
Right.
So I just sourced from multiple designers that stock with me and we did a home trial situation for her and it turned out perfect. And I also only call for pieces that I know will work on them. So it just makes the whole process very easier for
Right.
both the designer, me and the client.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think because like as brands, when we're just starting out, we don't have such a big team that can
Yeah.
cater to home
Correct.
trials because if it was up to us, we would love
Do
to
it.
do it.
Yeah.
But if we have like a team of professionals like you,
Yeah.
we would like this is how our first
Yeah.
sale sort of happened and
Yeah.
wherein you just asked me to send over a
Yeah.
few outfits and then we did a few trials
Yeah.
and that also sort of built a
A
level
trust.
of trust
Yeah.
of the client in you, in
Yeah.
me, my
Yeah.
trust in
Yeah.
you. So I think that was again an amazing
Experience. Yeah, I
Yes.
agree. I love to like make that first sale for my designer because it seals my relationship with them.
True.
So I really push hard and I only try to get pieces, like I said, that I know will work or
Yeah.
will translate. So that's my little bit of effort that I sort of put in.
Okay, Nisha. So I have an interesting question for you, which has sort of become rhetorical for most people. So a lot of my clients come to me and they just go like, okay, but what does a personal stylist do? Do they just pick out clothes for me? And like, I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
There's so much more to
Yeah,
it. So, like, I would really love it if a personal stylist herself answers this for them.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not just picking clothes for you. It's understanding your personality, your body type, and secondly, helping you find your identity. I think that's what a personal stylist does. We sort of come in when you have no idea what to do with your fashion, what to do with your body type, what to do with like the pieces that you have in your wardrobe. It's like being like a fairy godmother and just sort of putting everything together for you and being like, here you go, this is what works for you, this you should absolutely get rid of, and these are the kind of pieces that you should experiment with. So it's like you're hiring like a professional who gives you the information on how to present yourself better on each and every day, not just for like special events and occasions, but like your day-to-day basis, daily
Right.
wear, your meetings, your job, everything.
Right.
So yeah, it's like a personality building exercise that you sort of do with someone.
True.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, it's about building your identity. I mean, I'm sure everyone has an identity when they're born, but
Yeah.
I think they just need to find it, right? In an Indian society, people do not understand what a personal shopper does for you. It's not what it sounds like. It's not literally going and shopping for outfits. It's actually, sort of sitting down with your client, understanding who they are and telling them, showing them, because I'm sure everyone knows who they are, how they want to be perceived, but they don't know how to
Get there.
get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really interesting because we blindly follow trends
Yes.
like we discussed before. And I don't think trends trends are not a bad thing. Trends are great, but how do you incorporate trends into your existing wardrobe or your existing sense
Exactly.
of style? And sometimes you may get it absolutely wrong. Like I look at some people and I'm like, I wish I could just like dress them or tell them, like, this doesn't work on you. So I think personal styling is way beyond just picking the right outfit in your wardrobe. Within Indian society, it's a very new concept. I don't think we're very used to someone telling us how we should dress. It's
Yeah.
also very personal on that level. Like hiring someone means you're going out of your comfort zone and you're asking someone to help you change your entire personality. So not everyone's open to that experience, honestly. But most of the clients that I receive, they're like new mother who have no idea what to do or like how to reinvent their sense of style, but they know deep down that they want to dress well, they want to play with new styles, and they want to experiment with what's new in the market. So that's where I
Yeah.
sort of come in. I understand their needs, I understand what's bothering them, and I sort of like help bridge that gap between figuring their personal sense of style and which designer sort of works for them and what kind of silhouettes they should be doing. So
Right.
it's honestly, it's very deep. When you get into the whole process, you'll understand there are so many layers to it as well. It's not just, I recently had a celebrity client. I helped her redo her entire wardrobe, and she had so many beautiful pieces in her wardrobe, but she just had no idea how to piece them together. So
Right.
we went shopping, we picked out like 10 really good basics like shoes, bags, and accessories. And we just made some beautiful 50 looks for her
Right.
with those existing pieces plus the new ones. And she looks so beautiful, and I was so proud of myself that I could help her achieve that. So I
Yeah.
think you need a professional for that, to push yourself a little bit more and experiment with your style and understand what would work on you and what wouldn't in the long run.
Yeah,
So
like, and again, like you said, you went out and bought shoes and bags, and I think this is something that people don't realize, that when you're doing a personal styling, it's not just about picking out the right outfit, but it's also picking out the right accessories, right hair and makeup. And
correct.
I feel like your other client who had just given birth, I
Yeah.
feel like at every point of time in our lives, we're entering a new phase and we want to look a certain way. Even something as simple as your hairstyle
Yeah.
or a pair of glasses can make all the difference in the
Difference.
world. Like, there are
Yeah.
people who have started their careers in their late 40s, and now they're like, okay, but people don't take us seriously. And even me in the beginning, I used to like dress up a certain way, have these meetings, and we really diminish the power of dressing.
Dressing.
We really diminish the power of how we look can impact a business deal or even like a vendor. So I feel like maybe like throw some light on how, when you enter a new phase, why something as simple as a haircut can also make all the difference for you.
I think you've said it really well already. The way you put it is, we diminish the power of dressing. When you wake up and you pick an outfit that makes you feel amazing, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, wow, like I feel
Yeah.
great today. I'm ready to seize the day. I think that sets the tone for the rest of your day. And all of us, especially women, we reach a point in our life where we want to reinvent ourselves. Like when you hit your 30s, when you have a baby, when you're maybe
Yeah.
going on your honeymoon, or you have like a big important event like Khan. You want
Yeah.
to sort of push yourself and look a certain way, because you're meeting so many of these important people in your day-to-day life, or like for these important events, and you want to have an impact on that. So
Right.
I think in that sense also, yes, a personal stylist comes in, they have that experience, what works for which occasion and which event, and they sort of help you find your true self and the best pieces for you.
Yeah.
But I agree, people don't realize that as often,
Yeah.
and
Like,
they
there's so
should.
much more.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm sure dealing with so many clients, celebrity clients and personal clients over several different events, you must have encountered some really, really absurd requests. So, would you mind telling us a few?
I think the funniest one that I can remember is, I had a 6 a.m. call time, and my client calls me up at like 9:30 in the night asking me to change the color of the entire outfit that was shortlisted. I thankfully have my dyeing guy on a speed dial. So I
Oh
just
my
called him up
God.
and I begged him. I was like, you've got to do this for me. And he's done it overnight. And I made it to the shoot in the morning. But these kind of things happen all the time. And now they just make me laugh.
So the outfit was constructed
Yeah,
completely,
it was. And we just had to change the color. Only at 10 p.m. in the night.
Oh my God. I mean, at least that was dying. Even I have my dyer on speed dial,
Yeah.
by the way. But like one such client one night
Yeah.
just called me up. There are no boundaries, by the way. Like after 12 and everything, they're just calling and they're like, okay, I want the entire embroidery to be changed.
Oh
And
my
I'm
God.
like, what do you mean? Dying,
Yeah.
at least I can still dye. But like,
Yeah,
the
changing
event,
the.
yeah, the event is tomorrow. What do you mean you want the embroidery to be
Oh,
changed?
wow. How did you deal with it?
We just, she wanted patches at the bottom. So we just ended up making new patches and, sort of like,
Figuring how to
yes,
please her in
instead
the
of
situation.
changing, we
Yeah.
sort of added on to it. And
Oh,
like,
stressful.
yeah, horrid. But yeah, so spill the tea for our audience. What
Yeah.
do you think are some of the celebrity approved trends right now? And feel free to like peruse through our wardrobe here.
Yeah, I mean, the one trend that I'm also wearing and I want to talk about is the sheer trend. I think that's something I've been seeing all over, like your Met Gala, your Oscar. I think all Hollywood celebrities are really embracing it. What's
Yeah.
interesting though is I want to see how Indian celebrities do it because we're
True.
in sort of not a very open sort of a
Yeah.
setting. We're still
Yeah.
need to be modest in our own way. So I want to see how they bring this trend to India, like whether it's celebrities or influencers, and I want to
Yeah.
see if they do a good job with it or not.
I think we're
So
still sort of dealing with the whole sheer looking
yeah,
obscene.
yeah,
And I mean, trust me, our first collection started with sheer. Like,
yeah,
our bestseller was the
yeah,
nymph set.
yeah.
Everything sheer. So we
It
had
worked. Yeah,
yeah, it worked slowly.
yeah.
Once someone wore it,
And
once
was
a celebrity wore
yeah,
it, you sort of see it on a different body type, and
yeah,
you realize just because it's sheer, it's not obscene.
yeah.
You just have to try it out,
Yeah,
and
so it's trickier with Indian society, but I think they are
yeah,
getting there in a good way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sheer is
Sure, and I think ruffles is something I personally
oh,
love. I'm
okay.
seeing it everywhere and I love it. It's something I want to do in my wardrobe. I love like these ruffle tops with like denims and just ruffle skirts, ruffle gowns. I think it creates a little bit of drama and volume, which I personally find a lot of fun to play around with.
Right.
So that's another interesting trend that I'm seeing. And obviously, your colors there's the sage green, there's rose pink that I think
Right.
everyone should sort of also experiment with in summers. I think these two
Yeah.
colors are really nice on Indian skin tone.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, these are some of the trends I think that are really good for Indians right now.
Love that. So, now that we've talked about trends, we've talked about personal style, I think an important question that comes in mind when you sort of like want to balance between certain trends and personal style, there need to be some outfits in your wardrobe that will always maintain this balance. So, what do you think are the three must haves that every modern day woman must have in their wardrobe?
I think the first one that I want to talk about is definitely having like a classic set in your wardrobe. So it could be like your really nice trousers or even denims with like a nice shirt or blazer. This is like your go-to set that like, some days you just want to like look clean and you want to look presentable. And I think this is a must-have for every woman. The second thing I think is the right pair of your go-to accessories. Like for me, it's my little tiny chain and my earrings. And I
Yeah.
feel that sort of makes a world's different in my entire look. And I don't want to step out without that. So that's the second essential that I want to talk about. And the third look that I want to talk about is like having a really comfortable lounge set that is your go-to set. Sometimes some days we just want to look effortless without putting too much thought into our outfit. So I think
Yeah.
having like your comfy set that you want to just step out in or like do dinner or dates in, I think that's an essential again in your wardrobe.
Right. So, accessories, loungewear, and a
Your
set.
basics.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I think when you say accessories, it's so important to also realize, what kind of accessories work for you, because
Yeah.
I feel like accessories are a very good balance when it comes to
True.
like, trying something new, because I know I keep on experimenting with my style, and then I just feel like sometimes I'm in a foreign body because I've worn something that is completely different,
Yeah.
and then I put on like a pair of these absurd looking gold
Yeah.
earrings because I'm very very
Yeah.
into absurd shaped
Yeah.
gold earrings, and then it sort of like puts the look together for me because it
Yeah.
feels like it's a little me
Yeah.
and a new style as well.
I agree.
So I
Yeah.
do believe, but then how do you realize like what kind of accessories work for you?
You need to hire a stylist for that.
Love that. I mean, you
But
do. You
no,
really
I'm
do.
joking. But I think it's over a period of time you see what you sort of like, what you don't like. Like I meet some women and I think instantly like minimal jewelry works on them. So it's a mix of what works with your sense of style, your again, like if you're like a petite girl, like what's working with the kind of pieces that you've picked already. So it's a lot of different elements, but it's mostly like trial and error method and just seeing what works on you and removing what doesn't work on you.
Right.
So yeah, you learn over a period of time, I think. Like you said, you like shapes. You must have learned over a period of
Yes,
time these
of
shapes are
course.
working on you. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, plus I feel like you said, I know you said it as a joke, but I think
Yeah.
you do need a personal stylist, especially now,
Yeah.
because this is the age of social media, and it's so easy to think that okay, that is my style because we've been following a certain type
Yeah.
of people. We think that that's just gonna work for us, but it's actually not. And
Yeah, and also like I have a lot of clients that are like, especially when I started the styling room, most of my clients were like these middle-aged women who were very socially active. So you don't want to go to a party and look like everyone else. And I started this as an experiment with my mother-in-law as well. And I'm like, you socialize so much, but you need to have a sense of style. You don't need to look like a clone. So
yeah.
try infusing certain elements in your wardrobe that make you sort of stand out. And she really took on the whole process really well. And now I see her like into this whole new confident woman who's wearing like these jackets with denims, and she wasn't doing that before, and I think she looks beautiful. And
Right.
people should sort of have their own sense of identity. I mean, fashion is all about having fun in the end of the day. If
Right.
you blindly have to copy a textbook and look like everyone else, then you're just doing it for the sake of it. And clothes are a necessity, I mean, in this day and life, because you're photographing everything's on social media.
Exactly.
So I think just if you're doing it as a fun experiment, actually put in the effort and get to know yourself and get to know your personal sense of style.
Right.
So it's very, very important, honestly.
So, do you think social media has now changed the way that people shop or, view style in a certain way?
It's taken they're taking it more seriously, the whole dressing up process, especially
Okay.
women. They're putting in a lot more effort. They want to. I'm also seeing the whole switch from from high street brands to homegrown brands now.
True. Yeah.
People want to dress up in a unique way. So yeah, there are a lot of pros and cons to it. Pros being they're willing to try new styles, experiment with new designers. Cons being they still want to look like everything else and follow a trend blindly. So there are a lot. But I mean, it's a more or less it's a positive shift in the whole process. So
Yeah.
I think it's good. Social media is doing more good than harm at this point for them.
Right. So, Anisha, you've styled some major names in the industry. One of whom I'm sure is like Richa Chadda. We've seen her
Yeah.
prominently and like. So, tell me, which is the one celebrity you would think would be like Ruology, like perfect for Ruology?
I think Deepika, no? Like she's got the perfect body for your outfits, and her style is very effortless. And I think all your pieces would look beautiful on her.
My God, that's
Yeah.
like a
Dream.
Yes,
She's so
because
beautiful. I love her style.
exactly her
Yeah.
style and the way she carries herself.
Yeah.
She has been like an icon for me
Yeah.
from the start. So you saying that
Yeah.
actually,
I really see her. Like, I hope she somehow hears this and wears one of your outfits.
he was
Yeah.
manifesting.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. But like, tell me why specifically do you think that Ruology as a brand would do amazing for her? Like, what are the things that are
Yeah.
common between us.
I think your brand is for a powerful woman. I think your brand is very effortless, and I think it's very ambitious and creative, and it's perfect for someone who wants to sort of express their style without trying too hard. And
Right.
I see her in it. She's very effortless on most days, and which is why I think your pieces are so bold and they'll work perfectly on her. The
Thank you so
silhouettes, the
much.
cuts, I think all of it will work so beautifully on her body type.
Thank you so
So,
much.
yeah.
So, like you said, it's for women who are powerful. Like, that was my initial goal. It's not just women who are already, powerful, who are audacious,
Yeah.
but for women who are sort of like hiding behind,
Yeah.
but they want to be a certain
Yeah.
way. I feel like I put so much personal emotions in my work when I'm designing a certain piece, and that's why I feel like it's all intentional. Making it look effortless comes from a lot of research, sort of understanding my
I
client,
agree,
understanding
I'm
their
sure.
insecurities. And I think today the definition of being powerful is what? Just being confident in yourself. And I sort of like to help my client conceal their insecurity more than concealing. I think bring out the
Best in them.
best in them.
So, when we started working together for the styling room, I had this client. I didn't know her from before. She
Right.
reached out to me for the first time, and she had this really important event, her brother's engagement, that she wanted to go to. And she was a new mom, and she was also conscious of her body type. And all I could think was how your outfit, because we had worked together, we had
Yeah.
dressed Richa in Ruology for
Yeah.
Fukre, so I exactly knew how beautiful your garments were, and especially for the Indian body type, I think you really take care of women and you know exactly which areas to conceal. So when this client came up to me, I was just like, Ruology is going to be perfect for her.
Yeah.
It honestly took me some convincing, and she went back and forth a lot, and I got on like 4 different calls with her, and I was like, I know what you need, and I know this brand is going to give you that, and you just have to trust me. And she's like, no, but like, I've never worn this corset style before, I've never worn these pants. And I remember calling you and I'm like, she's stressing me out,
Oh,
are you sure
yeah.
about this? And you were like, yeah, I'm sure this will work on her. And when I had that little bit of validation from you as
Yeah.
well, I was so certain that she should take this. So she was very confused, and she called me up and she's like, I'm not going to go ahead with it. And I was like, okay, fine. And then she called me up the next day. She's like, actually, Anisha, I'm going to trust you on this. I was like, thank you. You're not going to regret it. And when she wore it, she looks so beautiful. And she's like, I would never pick this outfit off the rack. But this outfit was so beautiful, and it honestly, all the body parts that she was conscious of, you took such great care of it, because your designs and cuts are made in a way they're beautiful for Indian body type, I think, and they just fit really, really well. Your
Yeah.
fabrics, your designs, your cut, you take care of everything from the
Thank you
get go.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I think I remember that client you'd sent
Yeah.
me trial pictures and everything. And I feel like we have tapped the maternity and post maternity market quite well
Yeah.
now, because post maternity, the tummy area is the most tricky part.
Yeah.
Which is where most of our drapes come in.
Yeah.
Now people think these drapes are just randomly like a design element, it's an aesthetic, but what they don't realize is, for example, the spans that we use
Yeah.
to style her, one, it's comfortable, it gives you the look of a skirt, but it has pants underneath.
Right.
Two, it has drapes flowing right from your upper belly to like the bottom. So post maternity, when you face the flaps issue, it's all gone, it's all concealed, you're still wearing the most sexy outfit
I
and
agree.
feeling comfortable and sexy.
Yeah.
I feel like gone are the days when, to hide your tummy, you're wearing like an A-line dress. My idea is I don't want to hide anything.
And
I
not
want
a
to
lot
like
of
flaunt it.
I agree, because not a lot of people are doing that, right? Like, look at all the
Exactly.
designs that we get in the market. They're not catered to Indian body types.
True.
They are very your standard European body type, and it
Yeah.
works on like your certain type of models. But Indian body type is very difficult, and it's very
Yes.
different from what you see on like a model. It will not work on you. So
Yeah.
I think there's beautiful ways to enhance what we wear, and not
Yeah.
everyone sort of gets that right. And I'm glad you're sort of doing this, because even for Richa, when I first saw the outfit and I saw what it did for her, I was just in awe of the entire look. The color was beautiful. I remember she was going to Dubai for Fukre. I was just sold on the color, and then the drape that you had on the waist and the little detailing. She also
Yeah.
absolutely, I think it's one of her favorite outfits,
Oh
like
my
whenever
God,
we
thank you
discuss it.
so
And
much.
those pictures were so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I think that was one of my first drapes.
Yeah.
So that drape still does well. Like, it's the Clytie gown that you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. So, even that drape, we've made so many women doing their maternity shoots wear that outfit.
Wow. I can
Now,
imagine.
yeah, because if you go behind the science of it, the drape is, diagonal on the shoulder.
Correct.
And the one that's on your tummy goes in the opposite diagonal.
Correct.
So, your eyesight is not going horizontally, it's sort of going diagonally, which cuts down your broadness. Like
And
so many.
reveals the most thinnest part of your body, which is your shoulder.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
That's
So,
very smart.
I don't think that people realize that even to crack that outfit with my clients was such a task. Initially I had to explain them all of these things. This is actually going to conceal your
Yeah.
certain part. It's going to make this part look amazing. The focus is going to be here. So initially I think the response I used to get was the fabric is too thin and stretchy, and it's not going to look amazing on me. It's not made for Indian body types. This is the remark
No
I got
way.
initially.
Honestly, I think the stretchiness and the fabrics are in fact
Exactly.
perfect. And
It takes the
yeah,
shape of your body.
I agree.
It's made to cater to different body types.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think you're doing a great job with your fabrics, with your silhouettes, with your everything. You've really got it down. And I love that you keep experimenting and you come up with new designs that are not only like up with the trend, but they're still sort of perfect for the Indian body type and the Indian shape.
thank you so
Yeah.
much. I think only a stylist would
Yeah.
get that. We've covered celebrities.
Hmm.
I also want to know what client would be like an ideal Ruology client.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to narrow it down, but who do you think immediately fits Ruology?
When I think of that, I feel like you said, right? Like I cater to women who want to look powerful, who are not necessarily there yet, but want to just wake up and look powerful in their own element. I think that's what Ruology sort of caters to. It's very effortless, and in your drapes do all the work for you. You don't need to think a lot when you're buying a Ruology outfit because most of the design detail already sort of elevates your look. And I think it sort of helps you get into a whole new version of yourself. It's like that goddess kind of feel. Like even
Yeah.
what you're wearing right now, I absolutely love that. And I
Thank
think
you
it's
so much.
it's so minimal, but it's still yet so bold and powerful in its own way. So I
Yeah.
think that's who the Ruology client is. Someone who wants to sort of look bold, sexy, and wants to put a statement out there, but doesn't want to try too hard. I think that's who
That's
you.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So that brings me to my next question. Describe Ruology in 3 words, no overthinking.
Okay. Okay. I'm rethinking now because what I wanted to say earlier, I don't want to say it. So I'm just going to
Okay.
give you new. So again, powerful,
Okay.
effortless, and for the creative women, I think.
I think that
Yeah.
sums
Yeah.
it up about
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now a very kind of controversial question, but you've seen a lot of brands come and go. You've been in the industry for about 14 years now. So what do you think it is that, now I'm saying this out on a being positive and just saying, what do you think will make Ruology sustain or sort of stand out in a crowd that is so full of new brands every other day?
So we were discussing about how you're sort of doing experimenting with new content and like even having like a podcast like this. I think that's a really great move because what we sort of don't realize with brands is that not only your designs are going to do the work, you need to market yourself really well. And I
Right.
think that's a very important strategy and how you market. So your quality of your product, the content that you create, and just being regular at it. You told me that, no matter what happens, I just have to show up. Like
Yeah.
it could be a boring day, but
Yeah.
I am going to show up either way. And I
Yeah.
think showing up for your brand and every day reinventing yourself, I think that's already half the job done. So
Right.
you will sort of, in order to sustain and in order to like cut the crowd out, I think just doing a really good job in your own lane and reinventing the whole norm. Like this podcast is a fabulous idea. I think you're really doing an informative service out there, which is
Right.
needed. And it sort of helps give your brand an identity which was sort of not there before. So I think these are the things that are really going to help a brand sustain in the long run as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So, when we even thought of starting this podcast, this isn't just for my clients or for my brand. This is for everyone, I think, in the creative field who's looking out to, I don't know, get started, enter this field. So,
Yeah.
which is why I sort of brought up this question, because I'm sure a lot of brands, my competitors, my peers want to know what their clients want. And, I don't think anyone better than you can help them out with this. Like, what do you think that a brand must do in the coming years, sort of to maintain this loyal relationship with their clients?
I think it's in terms of like, if I have to speak in terms of like your design language, I think it's retaining what the core of your brand is, but still sort of reinventing with the newer trends in the market,
Right.
which I think you're already sort of doing. But if you're doing that without visibility, I think that's beating the purpose. So you have to sort of push yourself and put your content out there, market yourself.
Right.
I mean, it's a one-person job. I get it. It's really tough because you
Yeah.
got to wake up and you got to do all of this all by yourself every day. It's not
Yes.
easy. But I think if you see a bigger picture, all of this will pay off in the long run.
Right.
So it's constantly just pushing yourself in terms of your designs, in terms of the content that you create, that will keep you relatable with your clients, is what I personally believe.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. So, thank you so much, Anisha, for patiently answering all of my questions. Now, this segment of the talk will be sort of like a return gift to you,
Okay,
wherein
yay.
we call this like the guest becomes the host.
Okay.
This is where you get to ask me 3 questions, no boundaries whatsoever.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, I think I already know what my 3 questions are. So let's start with the first one. Okay, why did you decide on Ruology and what led you to this path?
So now, as a child, I think I always was very, very addicted to red carpets. I remember being like, I was born and brought up in a very small town called Solapur. Don't know if you've heard about it. But the only source of entertainment there used to be television. And I was hooked to award shows right from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, I used to look at red carpets and then I was done. So, what used to happen after the red carpet was my brain sort of used to go in this daydreaming where I'm reimagining everyone's outfits. I'm sort of like changing the shapes, I'm tweaking this and that, and it sort of became a habit right from the 5th grade to, I don't know, still, when you sort of sit, close your eyes, and these thoughts used to come to my mind where I'm constantly changing the shapes. Silhouettes have been like my thing right from the childhood, because I've always imagined myself redoing everyone's outfit.
Right.
So, growing up, I knew I wanted to do this, but of course, it was a lot of back and forth. And then when I finally did internships under a lot of celebrity stylists, I sort of saw a gap in the Indian market wherein we are doing amazing in terms of embroideries. And I've said this 1,000 times, like surface ornamentation, textures, India is doing amazing. Now, this was 3 years ago when I saw this gap where I thought that the silhouettes still need a lot of work.
Yeah.
Why should we source from international brands? Why can't we make it here? So, on those jobs is when I realized that this is a gap that we need to fill. And this has been my thing since childhood, silhouettes.
That's amazing.
So, why not just go for it?
Yeah, it was your calling all along, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you said in the
Yeah.
start,
Yeah.
the career chooses
Yeah.
you. And I fully believe it. I think
Yeah.
it chose me.
Yeah.
And it happened at the right time.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, also, like no one's sort of doing it right now. Especially like I think your price points are great like for an Indian market, and I don't think anyone's doing it especially at this price point. You either have like really expensive couture
Yeah.
gowns, or you have like your international designers, or you have nothing.
Yeah.
Like I think you are sort of like bridging that gap, and I think you're doing a great job at it. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, like you said, the idea was to bring red carpets have always been special to me. My idea was to bring red carpets to every day.
Like a ready to wear situation.
Yes,
Yeah. I
yes.
fully
Bring
get
the
that.
drama to your
Yeah.
daily life.
Okay, I think I'll go on to my second question,
Okay.
which what is the one trend that you would never wear or design?
So I think one trend, now this is a mix. I don't think I will ever design anything in a neon and which is like super flouncy. Like since my childhood, red carpets I've seen everyone wear the most flounciest
Yeah,
gowns.
yeah.
Red carpet ho, wedding ho,
Yeah, volume.
volume.
Yeah.
Like volume does not equal to style.
Yeah.
It bothers me. It
Yeah.
bothers the shit out
Yeah.
of me. Again, people think it hides your insecurities. It doesn't.
Yeah, especially like Indian body types, I don't think
Yeah.
it always works, and I hate
Yeah.
can-cans.
Same. Absolutely
hate
not.
can-can.
I can't do flouncy outfits. So that's something I'm not gonna
Okay,
design ever.
that's a good point. And where do you think the future of your brand is? Like, what would Ruology be? Like, what do you see it down the line? Where do you think it's going?
So that's actually a very good question because Ruology, when I started Ruology again, this was like I keep saying it's an ode to the audacious souls. And with this whole podcast and the community that I'm building, we plan on sort of making it a community of women and men in the future who support this common idea of audaciousness. So, we're going to come up with a lot of baby brands underneath. We're going to come up with a lot of such podcasts and like extensions of Ruology. So, Ruology essentially is not just going to be a clothing brand, it's going to be a community of people who sort of support this very idea of bringing audaciousness to your daily life, to your speech, to your outfits, to everything. It's not a brand, it's a concept.
That's
And-
amazing. Yeah, because you have this one vertical and there's so much you can do with
Exactly.
it. And that's great that you're pushing the envelope a little bit and having fun with the brand as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap up, Anisha, let's play a fun little game to sort of conclude this. Now, this is a rapid fire round.
Okay,
so
fun.
do not take more than 5
Okay,
seconds to
fine.
answer any questions.
All right.
Okay. No judgment here. Okay, quickly. Heels or sneakers?
Heels,
Overdressed or underdressed to an event that you don't know the dress code for?
overdress, power move.
All the way.
Yeah.
Worst fashion mistake you've ever seen?
Mesh with neon bras.
I know. Oh my god, pet peeve.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's killing it in fashion right now?
Camila Coelho, she's this YouTuber from Brazil.
Okay.
She's a makeup artist and she started her own business and she's also doing clothes. And I really look up to her and I think she's like an icon for me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All black or color pop?
Black.
Of course, always. Okay, thank you so much, Anisha.
Thank you.
Now, that's it for Ruology Ramble. A huge thanks to Anisha for spilling out all the tea that
Thank
we
you.
needed and helping our clients and fellow designers understand a little more about, their fields.
Yeah. Thank you
And-
for having me.
Yeah, so don't forget to check out Styling Room by AG and follow Ruology if you haven't already. Until then, stay audacious and curious. See you in the next episode.